Alrighty, what's up, everybody? Let's get right into the topic for tonight. Tonight, we're talking about manipulation. Now, I'm not here about to teach you how to manipulate people, but I'm gonna let you know what to watch out for and if you're being manipulated or not, or at least attempting. Now, let's get right into it. Number one, you gotta watch out for their actions. Look at what they want you to do. Get rid of all the rosy wordings, the flowery words. Remove all that and break it down to the most simplest command. What do they want from you? Here's an example. I matched with some chick on a dating app, and we were having a fun banter back and forth, and everything was going great. She seemed really nice. And here's the thing. I set up a date. She agreed to it, but then at the end, she said, I would really love it if you could order me an Uber. Now, for one, you might be going, well, of course, I'm a gentleman. I would love to do that. But hold up, rewind that. This is someone you never met before. Well, certainly I've never met before. I don't know anything about this chick. And we're going on a first date, so why would I preemptively agree to shelling out money for a service? Think about that for a second. Doesn't it make more sense to see how the date goes? And if her performance goes well, then of course, you know what to do. You would call an Uber if things go well. If she shows that she's worthy of that service. So before you even go on a date, if you already agree to it, going, oh yeah, of course, then haven't you shot yourself in the foot? Because if the date was a disaster, are you still gonna be happy going that extra step and ordering and paying for that Uber? Now, of course, I didn't outright reject that offer. I had to scope out the situation a bit because at the end of the day, like I said, she's a stranger to me. I don't know if she's actually trying to play me or it's just an innocent request because she's traditional. Well, here's the spoiler. She wrote that she's a traditional girl on her bio. And here's the pro tip. If you have to explicitly write something out and state you're what? You're traditional? Chances are, no you ain't. If you gotta say you're an alpha male, you get mad chicks, we all know. Stop lying, man. Stop the cap. You ain't get anything. You ain't no alpha, man. Listen. You gotta watch out for these kind of things. They're trying to game the uninitiated. So, I digress. Going back to the story. Of course, I could easily have gone, hey, we'll just have to see how your performance is. Or, if you really ain't about that, could have just said, nah, I don't feel comfortable doing that just yet. Well, I opted for a more compromising approach. She said she lived far away. That's why she wanted me to get her a ride. But guess what? I just happened to work near her place. So of course, I suggested an alternative. Hey, you know what? Thanks for letting me know you live here. I also happen to work nearby. Why don't we pick out a spot in the middle, close by? Hey, if it's what she says, that she's eager and can't wait to see me, then of course, this would make even more sense, right? It's a win-win. But guess what? Your boy was ghosted. And that solidified that she wasn't really that interested. Or, hell, she clearly wasn't interested in meeting up with me like she said she was. And, hey, here's the worst news. Who knows where that Uber was gonna take her? And are you gonna split the dinner? Am I gonna split the dinner? After she asked me to pay for that ride? Does that make sense? Isn't she already assuming that I was gonna pay for the dinner? So not only am I paying for that, I'm also paying for a ride. And where is the ride taking her? To the next guy? You starting to see where I'm going with this story? You're shipping her off to the guy at the finish line who's giving her a dessert. Oh yeah, there's gonna be a big banana split waiting at the end, if you know what I mean. Yo, I'm telling you, it may be true, it may not be true, but you have no idea, and you gotta protect yourself, man. You gotta protect your assets, especially if you're not feeling good about it. See, the way I work is, like I said earlier, do not state explicitly, because then you give away the game. Don't you realize if you don't ask for something, you just show that you're worthy of it? Oh, best believe I'm gonna act accordingly. Let's say the check comes. Of course, on the first date, I would naturally pay for it, but I want to see that she reaches for her purse. I want her to speak up and say, hey, I'll get half. Or be proactive. And when I see that, let's say, hey, some chicks are next level. They're waiting, they really want you to pay for it, but at least they show the gesture. All right, game on. But if I see something like that, them taking initiative, of course I'll be like, no, don't worry, I got it. But just think of it this way. If she just sat there, staring at you, okay, you gonna get it? Well, she doesn't even have to say it, just staring at you. Like a deer in the headlights, aren't you gonna feel a different type of way? Like, damn, really? Who she think she is? Like, I mean, I've gone on a few dates where these women, they don't even bother to look at the check. They whip out their phone, start browsing Instagram, or, hey, pay attention to this one. The good old go into the bathroom trick. Perfect timing for you to finish paying. As soon as they come out of the bathroom, it's time to go. I've done that a couple times too. But guess what? I was expecting for them to say, hey, thanks for covering that. Thanks for taking the bill. But no, they didn't even say anything. One of them just simply came out of the bathroom and said, all right, let's go. I'm like, really? Yeah, I'm telling you, man, the entitlement runs strong and you gotta watch out for it. Because here's the kicker. The way you start off the beginning of a relationship is how you're gonna be expected to perform to the very end. How you get the girl is how you're gonna maintain it. Because let's think of it this way. You go into a car shop to buy, let's say, a Lambo, if you got the cash. And then you're telling me after a certain mileage, like 100 miles in, you gotta trade it in for a Toyota Camry? Like, what is this? It makes no sense. Or you open up the hood and you find out the thing's about to fall apart. It's all old parts. You got hoodwinked, scammed. And that's the way it goes with what a woman expects out of you, with the way you started the first, second date, the beginning of the courtship. If you're taking them to fancy places, let's say this girl agreed to pay for a ride home. So what happens next? The second, third, fourth dates. Am I expected to always shell out for her transportation? Not only am I going to be her man, but also the chauffeur? What's next? You see, you have to have clear-cut boundaries. Because without that, something like this is going to happen. Because, hey, if given the opportunity, people are just going to take and take. They're going to completely take an inch, a foot, a few feet, and eventually you're going to have zero leverage. You're going to have no boundaries. You're going to become a doormat. I'm sure you don't want that to happen. Now, let's summarize real quick. Manipulation. It's a way of coercing someone to do something without them truly knowing they're being swayed into doing something for you. Now, here's a few other lines to keep in mind, such as they preemptively start off with, "Hey, yo, we've been friends for a long time, right?" And you go, "Yeah? So, of course, I know you got my back, right?" "Yeah." You know where this is going. "Hey, I'm going to need you to do me a huge favor. I'm going to need you to do me a solid." So what you going to say? "Yeah, of course, sure." And then, if it's something that you don't feel comfortable with, like perhaps borrowing money from you, that's a bit too much, and you already said yeah and all that, won't you feel way crappier if you just say, "All right, nah, I can't do it"? It's the lead up. It's the way of, how do you say it? Getting your emotions flowing, you know? So instead of someone answering with, "Of course, yeah," when they bring up these kind of lead-in questions like, "Yo, we're tight bros, right?" Of course, if it truly is, you say, "Yeah." But then if they say, "Can you do me a solid, a huge favor?" You gotta answer with, "Well, depends on what it is. Let me know." And if you know yourself and you know what you're capable of and not, if it's something you don't want to do, you don't like, you simply say no. If you understand the game, you understand what they're doing, it's easy to say no. You see, for me, I'm not comfortable in paying for transportation, especially with the place she's coming from. That's easily a $40 ride. So I'm paying for dinner and the ride. How much is that gonna amount to? Like, no. And not only that, there's a lot of clues that give them away. She's the one that's telling me she comes downtown to where I'm at, where the original location of the restaurant was, to get her nails done, hit the spa. I'm like, you got money for that? How'd you get there? You can't get yourself home? Pay attention to some of these. They give themselves away. So, that's pretty much what I got for tonight. Hope you guys learned something. Really, don't listen to the words, the rosy, flowery words that people try to embellish to get you feeling some type of way to begin with. Whatever they request of you, remove all the adjectives, all that other stuff, and boil it down to one short, concise statement. What do they want from you? Are you comfortable in giving them what they want, carrying out their orders. You feel good about that? Yes or no? Yeah, you cool with that? All right, do it. If you ain't, refuse. That's all I got. Peace.